Oh, okay. All right, I think we are live. All right, this is Senate Natural Resources and Energy. It is Tuesday, April 29th, and we are starting with H 396, which is an award, service award on behalf of Molly Beatty Distinguished Service Award. So we are joined this morning by Mr. Peter Anthony, a former rep. Welcome. Yeah, would you like to just come join us at the table? I feel like we should do a quick round of introductions ourselves, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say about, oh, of course, right, like right under taking the mic. And then we'd love to hear what you have to say. If you're ready.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, it's nice to see you. Senator Hardy from the Addison District.
Secretary Williams from Raleigh.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, my name is Peter Anthony. I served Perry City for 3 terms and not running this current term, so I'm retired at the moment. You have before you a bill that I started last biennium, but thanks to several folks took it up this term. I could not, obviously. And I want to thank Kate Logan and Amy Sheldon, who sort of knew about this in its genesis. Let me go back a little background why I ventured down this road. I, like many people, attended a celebratory 100th-year recognition of the state parks establishment, the first being Mount Philo. That was about 1.5 years ago in the Cedar Creek Room. I sort of knew some of the directors over the years of state parks. I knew of them. I had visited them, patronized them. What I was struck by was the incredibly important role that the ambassadors for the state parks, that is the state employees, role they play in I think underappreciated tourism and visitor ambassadorship. The testimony or the speeches of that day left me with awe at both the dedication, sensitivity, welcoming nature. And by the way, this is obviously an art, a skill, and something that has to be honored in some way. So far as I know, there was no particular esprit de corps recognition historically for the state parks. They are, as you know, part of state parks, forests, and recognition. And recreation, and they're also part of A&R. So they're sort of really if you will, a minority role. But I felt after that day that they play a particularly important role as if you like, shining a kind of mirror on the rest of Vermont by their presentation, and yet there's no particular mechanism to recognize that. I have known of Molly Beatty's directorship for many, many years. I was an environmental student in the Environmental Law Center in South Royalton. During her directorship, I knew of her, I admired her for her ability to get along with a lot of different people and lead an agency into the modern era. She is already recognized through scholarship and mentorships around in NGOs and the state colleges, but there's nothing, if you will, to honor her contribution to the state parks. So I thought, gee, why don't I introduce a bill and see what the reaction would be. I cannot speak for the secretary or the director. They did testify on the House side, at least the director, very enthusiastically. And I, again, the bill was not only heard in agriculture, but also in natural resources, as you know, Amy Sheldon decided to sign on, and I think that speaks for itself. So happy to answer any questions. I just thought this was very little, hopefully not too late, to essentially boost the esprit de corps of the folks who are ambassadors to visitors for the state of Vermont. The state parks are always booked, entertain a lot of people, many Vermonters, but many out-of-staters. So it's a gem.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, thanks for introducing this. We had a brief discussion last week about you don't have it in front of you, so the state employee, retiree, or partner whose contributions, and so wondering what you mean by partner. Is it a partner organization or an individual?
It could be, it's vague, because there are boosters of the state parks who are not employees, who are organizations or individuals.
Okay,
I'm singing their praises, and I wanted to leave the door open. Notice it's at the secretary, the director and secretary.
right.
So, yeah,
And what about a former employee who is not retired but used to work?
I think you would want to ask Representative Logan that question.
Okay.
I do not recall that I was in the original.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you for bringing this up as an idea.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I actually have one other question for you, and just, there's obviously no appropriation associated with this, and that is also, that's your intention, that there's no financial, it's just, an honor,
Exactly,
for someone.
exactly, yeah, it has no financial repercussions that I am aware of.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
for taking it up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and we, have Rep. Logan with us, zooming in. Welcome.
Hi there, so sorry I can't join you in person today.
Hang on one second. We're gonna turn up the volume here a little bit. Can you say that again?
Hi, I'm sorry I can't be there in person with you today.
Okay, no worries. We're glad to have you here with us by Zoom. So, yeah, anything you wanna, add about this bill?
Sure. Yes, as former Representative Anthony mentioned, and for the record, I'm Representative Kate Logan. I represent the Chittenden 16 district in Burlington, and I serve on the House Committee on Environment. I appreciate former Representative Anthony reaching out to me to ask to bring this bill forward this session. It was originally, and Michael Chernick will speak to this. It was drafted differently originally. The award was had the same purpose, but was originally intended to be awarded by the Secretary of the Agency of Natural Resources. I worked with the Secretary and the Commissioner of the Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation to agree to this final language. That was how the bill was submitted. As it was originally drafted, because it was going to be an award that was offered by the agency, I offered it to the entire Committee on Environment to sponsor, and they did. So everyone on the Committee on Environment and House were the original co-sponsors for the bill. And then with the amendments that were made by the request of the Secretary, it ended up getting referred to the House Committee on Agriculture. So that was fun. Got to spend some time over in that committee as well. They passed the bill out unanimously. It passed unanimously on that floor of the House. As former representative mentioned, the commissioner for the department is very enthusiastic about the award. It has been a really collaborative process with the agency and the department. It's also been an excellent opportunity to learn more about Molly Beatty. Especially, there were a number of members of the House and even my own committee who did not know much about Molly. I think it's really appropriate for our state government to have an award that is named after her for the purposes that former Representative Anthony spoke about. In addition to being, she is not originally from Vermont, but she did graduate school at UVM and then stayed in Vermont. Worked her way up through the Department of Forest Parks and Recreation to become the commissioner, then served as the deputy secretary for ANR for a couple of years. And then a few years after that, went on to serve as the first director of the first female director of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. And then as in that role, oversaw the successful reintroduction of the gray wolf into the Northern Rocky Mountains. So I think it's really exciting to have an award that recognizes the significant contribution that a former state employee here in Vermont has made to the country. And yeah, that's about all that I have to add. Also, I don't know if you know this about Molly, but she passed away at far too young an age from brain cancer. So I think that makes it even more appropriate to honor her, and a really excellent contributor to our state through this award.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions for Reverend? Yes, good.
Hi, Kate, it's nice to see you. I don't know if you heard the question I asked, former Rep Anthony about the partner is it meant to be an organization or an individual? And also what about former state employees who maybe aren't retired, but did work for Forest Parks and Rec?
We discussed that, or the Committee on Agriculture discussed that a bit, but decided not to clarify the meaning of partner. But yes, the intention is to be either an organization or an individual that advances the conservation, accessibility, quality of recreational experience, or sustainability of Vermont's public lands. So I think we agreed, again, this is the language that the agency preferred. So we agreed to leave it fairly general. I think your point about a former state employee who's not retired, but also not currently a state employee is actually a good point, though.
Okay, because we could say just former employee and that would cover retirees as well.
That's true.
And yes, people who are not yet retired.
So a state employee, a former state employee.
Current or former state employee.
There you go. I don't think anybody would object to that.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so with that, if Mr. Trinick, are you ready? We'd love to have you.
I'm totally ready. Now that I have a pen in hand.
Okay.
That's
That's good. I often can't think if I don't have a pen in my hands.
And for the record, Michael Chernick, Legislative Counsel. And I am literally. And what, based upon the testimony I've heard from both former Representative Anthony and Representative Logan in the last couple of minutes, it would seem what you want to do is on the line that begins annually, about halfway into the paragraph. Annually, the Commissioner of Forest Parks and Recreation shall present this award to either a current or former state employee. Strike the word retiree. Or do you want to say or organizational or an organizational or individual partner, or do you want to leave it the way it is now?
So just on that first part on current or former employee and striking retiring, that makes sense to me. That seems good. I'm seeing nods.
And the word stay obviously would stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And then individual organizational partner, thoughts on that?
It seems to me that if we change it to either a current or former state employee or partner, then it would make
Mhm.
actually more sense than it
Yes.
does now,
Mhm.
without having to put the extra words of
Okay.
organizational or individual
Okay,
in there.
okay.
I think that's true.
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
does that kind of?
That's now how I
So-
scribbled it.
So we can, so you're suggesting that we leave it, as current or former state employee or partner?
Yeah, because the current or former could also
So,
define partner,
so I'd like to
Yes, yes,
current or former partner.
yes.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Could I read it back one, try to
Sure,
get it,
yes.
should read it back, so I make sure that I have it the way you want it. Annually, comma, the Commissioner of Forest, comma, Parks, which by the way, doesn't have a comma here intentionally. And Recreation shall present this award to either a current or former state employee or partner, it could be a former partner, whose contributions, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that works, because I also think that that clears up the confusion about, is it a spouse? Right, like, I think that if it's like a current partner of the state,
Yeah.
then we're not, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that eliminates that confusion, I think.
that works then, yeah.
Okay.
So my only other question, do you want me to? I will just set this up as reproducing all of section one.
Oh, you mean just so like a strike all?
Or do you want,
or
does it strike all, I mean, it's,
Yes.
or I mean, I can also say whatever, it's the first, second, third century, to amend the third, just the third sentence, whatever you want. They're called.
I guess in this situation, my inclination is to do an instance of amendment,
Okay.
so that you can see that like, we're just tweaking a couple of words, it's not.
Third, second, circle, second,
Yeah.
the section one, okay.
Mhm.
I can certainly do that soon.
Okay, that would
And we
be,
can get this to you in time to bring up later today.
well, when you say later today, I mean, we're done at 12, so. I don't think that we are in a terrible rush at this point, I feel like we're pretty close, so, we'll just get you onto the schedule for a markup and vote, later in the week, yeah.
That's totally fine,
Okay,
not a problem at all.
let's just do that, I think that'll be straightforward enough, and
And your committee,
I'll let you,
assistant will be in touch with me and tell me what.
yeah, I'll let you know.
But the earliest would be, what, probably tomorrow, but it'll be later in the week.
I don't know, I'll let you know.
Certainly not today.
not today, no, not later today.
Okay, that's fine, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, and,
Alex came by.
yeah.
Stay well.
Generosity in spirit,
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
so I don't know what you want to do.
So, actually, before we move off of this topic, I do wanna point out that, we had, Commissioner Fitzko, at one point on the agenda, but she, was not able to be here, so she submitted some written, I sent that to you, I don't know if it's on the website.
Oh, I haven't put it.
Okay, but-
Vote on.
Yeah, great, that's fine, so just as a heads up, there's a document from Commissioner Fitzko about Molly Beatty, which I found really helpful, so that'll be posted on our website. Yeah, learned a lot. And we're not gonna be joined by Mike Covey today. And we do have Mr. Farrell, so the two sections of S 133 that seemed like they were something that we could potentially look at moving forward. S 133 being the housing bill that we heard from Senator Ron Hinsdale about. Wanted to get you, because it tasks your department with doing a report, so I don't know if you, I know you, well, I heard you had written comments, if you want to come speak to us, that'd be great.
I haven't prepared anything written, but I'm happy to submit something, I could speak briefly and then
Sure.
submit written.
Sure, we're almost out of time for the morning anyway, so, yeah, if you just wanna come say anything, just very brief and submit something written later,
Sure.
that is fine.
Let's do that, I can be
Okay.
incredibly brief, I just, maybe this week, I'm when you see my written testimony. So thanks, Chair, for the record, Alex Farrell, Commissioner of the Department of Housing and Community Development. So sections 3 and 4, just two reports. tasked to our department. So section 3, this first report, I think it'd be good for you all to have Senator Hinsdale back in to hear, I think, a bit of a clarification from her, at least my interpretation, talking to her. I think the use of the term inclusionary zoning in here might not be accurate, given what she's looking for. Again, don't take my word for it, listen to Senator Hinsdale. What I think she's looking for is actually just a residential development density tool. The way she explained it to me is she's looking for where there's state resources or some other, perhaps even in the permitting process, where there are trade-offs, how you can encourage more density. And so let's say take there's a Ryan Brother project in Shelburne where the entire parcel isn't being used. They've chosen to shrink the parcel down and set aside 10 acres or so for conservation. I think she's looking for perhaps a methodology for offering a density bonus. So for that remaining portion, still being able to bump up the total number of units. That's how I understand it. So what I would do here is I would change everywhere where it says inclusionary zoning, I would adjust this to say residential development density tool. Again, check with Senator Hinsdale to confirm that matches the conversation that her and I had. I think this is a miscommunication between, well, whatever. Section 4, I can be quick. I'm not sure this report will be needed. We're happy to produce it, but I think it's redundant on our Homes for All Phase 3, which is an effort that's getting underway now. We'll be putting out an RFP soon, and that effort is essentially to produce designs of homes that municipalities could choose to adopt as pre-approved designs. So streamline the permitting process.
So this has already happened. Okay,
all right.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the first one?
Yes.
Do you think the residential development tool, zoning tool, I think you called it,
Yeah.
is helpful? Like, is that a thing that is needed?
I think there could be a place for that, offering ways for density, because we have implemented density bonuses, some of the home act, there's a density bonus for affordability. So I think broadening the applicability of something like that, where you can earn a density bonus based on certain other offerings in residential development, I think could be worthwhile, yeah.
And how would the tool be used? Who would use it? Is it developers? Is it towns? Is it?
So this is the second part of what will be in my written testimony is I think we need more to know what's actually being asked of us. I read the words of this many times and I still wasn't entirely sure what it was asking for. And I saw the term inclusionary zoning and then I saw a density algorithm. And to me, those are just drastically different things. So I think for us to do this, we just need to understand more of what's being asked of us. I had the conversation with the senator and that gave me a bit more to go on, but again, I don't know if this is a zoning tool for municipalities to bump up a traditional density bonus, or if this is, let's say, a project's getting state resources, mechanism to encourage more densities, rather incenting the developer directly to.
Because I wouldn't want to just create a tool without knowing how and who would use the tool.
Yeah. I want to be respectful of what the senator is asking for here, and I want to say we're happy to do it, but yeah, we probably want a little bit more detail before we sign on to this.
Okay.
So.
okay, thank
Thanks.
you very much. And so we're gonna the rest of the witnesses for the day, we are not going to be hearing from, and we are gonna adjourn just a little bit early today. So, sorry.
So
Okay, yes.
section 4.
Sure, yeah, section 4, yeah.
You were talking about the toolkit, right?
The toolkit was the first phase, yeah, so phase 3 of that.
So remind me what you just said about section 4, that we really don't need it because we have the toolkit rolling doing it, right?
Yeah, we had the toolkit, and then now we're actually gonna be phases 2 and 3 of that same effort are both underway. The third phase is actually taking the toolkit a step further and actually having designs now that the state can provide to municipalities they can choose to adopt those as pre-approved designs.
Almost one, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna do offsite and stick-built designs, so.
Okay. Right, okay, good.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you for,
it. Clarification.
anything else before we are adjourned?
Another thing,
Yeah, sure.
Molly Beatty is also one of the architects of Dallas Conservation.
Oh, really?
It's under the radar,
Uh-huh,
but she was in her, I forget which role she was in at the time, but she was
okay,
one of the people, Scott Park and Party Court.
No way.
She really
Thank you.
pushing out that.
that's very cool, that's great. And is this the written test comments
You
from?
already read it?
Yeah, yes,
It's on the website.
Commissioner Fitzko, yeah, about Molly. Quite a remarkable woman.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so if there's nothing else, I'm just gonna check in.